Welcome to the first December edition of the PFF Forecast. It is Sunday night. We just witnessed the Chiefs washing dishes once again. The 49ers dominant today. We're going to talk about which AFC team has the best shot to beat them. We're going to predict the wild card. We have an incredible open to get up this week. It's really electric. And of course, we're going to guess the lines. It's going to be a great show. Let's rock. I thought about coming on the air with Get Up, but I think we've got to wait till we've got everyone here. So it's just going to happen spontaneously at some point. But just a little tease, because that's what it's all about. Rumor has it that Brock Purdy makes an appearance. So we'll just have to wait and see. Overall, a very interesting week. We just witnessed the Packers win as 6.5, 7-point underdogs. We talked about that game last week. I think Arjun, you were with me on betting the Pack, and my God, I wish I had been more vociferous than that and gotten us to take a money line. But because we just watched that game, and we're going to talk about the Niners and the AFC teams in a second, but level of panic for the Green Bay or for the Kansas City Chiefs, what should it be? Arjun, I'll start with you.
On like a 10-point scale, I'd probably say it's like an 8 right now. Their defense, which has been playing at, I would say, like a top 10 level, or even like top 5 level for the first maybe like 8-9 weeks of the season. I think they've definitely fallen off a little bit. Not that, I think Green Bay has definitely taken a step forward offensively. They, ran the ball pretty well today. Jordan Love has looked amazing for the past 5 weeks, but they don't have a great defense to rely on, I think, anymore. When their offense can't produce points. And yeah, like at this point, there's really 2 receivers that Patrick can throw to, which is Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce. Sky Moore, I don't think it's too early to call him a bust. He hasn't really done anything. Tony can't do anything, outside of schemed up plays. MVS doesn't really do anything. Justin Watson is a flash in the pan now and then. So I am very worried. And this was the first time I think we saw the Chiefs be able to consistently run the ball well. But Green Bay's run defense has been terrible for the past like 5 years. So I think it's just a flash in the pan also. So in general, like they really can't run the ball. Like overall, they don't have any secondary receivers, which matters in the playoffs. Their offensive line can get a little bit worrisome sometimes. So yeah, I am pretty worried, and I think this was a game that kind of highlighted all of their major weaknesses.
Yeah, sorry, I'm putting up our tweet for Mr. Dom DeSandro out there, so more people can join us. But my concern level for the Chiefs is it's pretty high. I've been pushing back against it for a while. I feel like I've been the most resistant to do so.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing for me is we knew the receivers were cooked. Arjun, it's not too early to say that Sky Moore is problematic. I think it's too late actually to say that. Yeah, you're like a month late on that one. But anyway, the thing for me is I kept waiting for Jawaan Taylor. Not really Donovan Smith, but sort of Donovan Smith to like just make it so, Pat will have a ton of time and he'll be able to overcome some of this. Someone will eventually get open in a fire drill and kind of scramble around and we'll get back to that magic. And they've been okay. They weren't terrible tonight, against a pretty good duo with Rashawn Gary. I guess Lucas Van Ness isn't great. Yeah, but a good pass rush. And they were fine, but they're just not good enough. So Mahomes is not only trying to find an open receiver, which is a challenge, and Travis Kelce really is not the same, elusive player that he's been for a long time, but also his internal clock, at least in my mind, in the pocket is much faster than the last couple of years outside of, Buck, Super Bowl, whatever, when they've had injuries. So it's the combo. Like, this offense is not going to score a whole lot of points. If he feels he has to bail and guys are not getting open, which is what we've seen the last, 3-4 weeks.
I think I've been the strongest on this. The Chiefs are not very good or not nearly as good bandwagon for a while. It just continues. Like, I don't know what to say at this point. I feel like watching the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm watching like, it's like deja vu where you go back. Like, remember 5 years ago when it was like, oh, the Chiefs have a new play like every single week. You're like, oh my God, that's super cool. And it like worked. And like they're just like, you know what? Like we'll just keep those same plays and we'll like run those back every single week. And now it's 5 years later, and you're like it's like we just had Thanksgiving, right? So you go back to your hometown, you go out to the bars, and you see a couple people that you know that were like, yeah, you just decided to keep running it back from high school, huh? Like, not such a good look. Like, that's what the Chiefs are to me. And it's a complete disaster. And they don't do anything, the creativity, it's not even that they don't do anything creative. It's that like their creative plays are now uncreative. Like they did a shovel pass to a small person today with CEH. Like, what the hell are you doing? They did the little like pirouette play it was like, and just off the heels of watching the Niners with some actual creativity and players that can actually do things with a football in their hands, it was very stark. Here's something that I think is very interesting. I was trying to kind of figure out, is there anything that's really weird about their play this year? They're running play action on just 16.7% of plays, unless I've somehow managed to bungle this report, which reminds me of like the Ben Roethlisberger Steelers in terms of how low of a play action rate that is. So I mean, I think it should be pretty high. The thing that you mentioned, Brad, was really concerning. Mahomes took 3 sacks in the red zone today. And that's usually the thing that bails them out, is the fact that he's a cyborg and won't take sacks. But you go in and you get beat soundly by Jordan Love. And I think Jordan Love's been playing well. I don't know. I think it's concerning. Where would you guys put them right now in the AFC?
That's the crazy thing, is the AFC we thought was a juggernaut, and now it's like, okay, the 3 best teams might actually be in the NFC. And I still think you'd put a bunch of AFC teams next in that pecking order, but I guess Miami might be ahead of them at this point, just because, they lost Jalen Phillips, and they may have lost Jerome Baker today too for a while, but their defense is showing what we thought they could be. Like, they're a good defense. They were wreaking havoc today. They have depth. Both Andrew Van Ginkel and Emmanuel Ogbah got home for a sack today, so they can fill in for some of their losses. So I guess I'll put Miami ahead of them for now. I know they played head-to-head a couple weeks ago, and it was basically just 2 halves, and one team won one half, and the other team won the other. But I still struggle. Like, you guys know I love Jacksonville. I still can't get myself to put Jacksonville above the Kansas City Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
I put Baltimore above them, I feel like.
Yeah.
I'm with you for sure. I think Miami and Baltimore, and Jacksonville is tough because it's like they have all the talent in the world, and then we just talked about how Kansas City, does all this weird, crazy stuff. But like Jacksonville is we're going to see this tomorrow. Like, it's not going to matter because they're playing the Bengals, but like, it's 3rd and 13, and we do a backwards pitch to Travis Etienne for the 3rd straight time. Like, really is going to be pretty tremendous. Let's transition here to the Niners. We're a 3-point favorite. We were kind of surprised by this last week. Although, Arjun, I thought you made a really, really good point, and that's why we ended up betting the Niners last week. Got out to 3. I think that's where it closed. And maybe it should have been a little bit more based on the final score. I guess my takeaway watching that game was, well, the Niners really dominated offensively. It felt like it should have been closer. Like the fact that the Eagles kicked field goals on both those opening possessions, that they had just scored. So I think you could make a case that game wasn't as far out as the score at the end. But what were your guys' takeaways?
Well, the Eagles' defense does not have a functional player in the middle. I know they traded for Kevin Byard, but their linebackers were absolutely getting destroyed today. A lot of production from George Kittle, from Debo kind of underneath, just taking, breaking tackles from the Eagles linebackers. And I thought Purdy did a pretty good job just getting it to their players. And honestly, my biggest takeaway from the 49ers is they understand better than any team really, or maybe the Dolphins would be the other team that'd be up there, at how to funnel touches to their best players. Like, if you look at the receiving box score from every game, it's like McCaffrey, Kittle, Debo, Ayuk take up 90 to 100% of Purdy's pass attempts, and then you'll get a random third down target to Jawan Jennings here and there. Like, but it's never like you never see like Charlie Warner, who's like Niners tight end too. Like, you don't really see Juszczyk get touches anymore. It's like the Niners do such a good job of just funneling touches to their best players, which seems like a novel concept, honestly, with how some of these teams operate. But they get their ball to the best players, and the Niners' best players on offense are better than the Eagles' best players on defense. And I don't really know if there's a viable solution for the Eagles right now outside of signing Darius Leonard, who his he might be cooked also, where it's like I don't even know how much of an impact he would make over like Nicholas Morrow. But Brad, I know I think you kind of touched on that point on Twitter also about the Eagles linebackers.
I mean, we knew that was obviously a deficiency coming in, and yeah, they didn't have Zach Cunningham tonight, but he's a good run defender. He's not a good coverage player anyway. Yes, Darius Leonard's not the same guy he once was, but I still think like an 80% Darius Leonard's probably the best coverage linebacker on the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm not really being facetious. Like, I think that's probably true. You put him in a very specific role as a will linebacker that is there for number 3 receivers and tight ends and running backs. And it's like a very catered, specific role, which I imagine he'd be open to. Maybe not. I think he left Indy because he wanted to play more. Anyway, I think it'd work. But I think it's a great point. And I hate the term positionless football. Or I guess a better way to put that is I feel like we hear about it so often on defense, where I think really what it means is this guy isn't good at any one position. And so he kind of just roams around and is Isaiah Simmons and isn't actually a benefit to your defense. On offense, I think the reason why the Niners get away with that and why they're funneling their top dudes, but it's not like they're not involving everyone or not, diverse in how they get the ball to their players, is because they can use all their guys in so many different facets and different ways. So, McCaffrey, I mean, for example, Nicholas Morrow, McCaffrey on the, out and up, and Morrow is just in an absolute blender. Like, because they have guys that can do different things, it enables them to funnel those targets and those touches. Debo had 3 carries, 22 yards, and a touchdown on the ground. Like, it's because of their diverse skill sets. Whereas look at Philly does the same thing. AJ Brown and Devontae Smith had 90% of their production today. But what they do? They're both Devontae's a downfield receiver. AJ Brown can do some of the yak stuff and bowl guys over, but they are who they are. And so they're, it's not a bad thing inherently, but anyway, long answer short, I like the idea of positionless football more on offense than I do on defense. And I feel like it's usually used in the reverse.
The takeaway for me was that Brock Purdy is, has anyone had a better setup in the history of football? 36% of his yards today came through the air. Interestingly, the only team with fewer, the Miami Dolphins. 2.55 seconds to throw. He averaged, I think, 11 yards per pass attempt and didn't, prior to review, have a single big-time throw. Now, he played well, but if they're healthy, if Trent Williams is healthy, I think he's really the key. And Debo obviously helps a lot, but that offensive line is the problem for them, right? Everyone outside of Trent Williams is very average, but when Trent Williams is in there, it does 2 things. The first is it makes it very hard to stop the run when they run to the left. It's almost impossible. And because of that, you have such good situations that you're able to get the ball out quickly. You don't have to throw the ball super far downfield. And those guys separate at an elite level. So here's the question. Which AFC team, okay, so if the Niners are healthy, they blew the doors off the Eagles. They beat the crap out of the Cowboys, who I think everyone would say with the Lions are the best team in the NFC. So the Niners, when healthy, appear to be looking like they're going to come out of the NFC. Which AFC team has the best chance to beat them? Arjun, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So with the Niners, there isn't a great way to beat them because I think first of all, outside of this team, they have a really good offensive opening script. And so Brock Purdy's usually never playing from behind. And the games we've seen him had to play from behind, like the Bengals game or the Vikings game. We've seen him make mistakes in terms of just turning the ball over. I think overall the Niners offense has actually been okay or good in losses, but I think if you're going to beat the Niners, you're not going to really be able to stop them on a play-to-play basis. So from the way I'm thinking about it, it's like you want a team that will maximize EPA versus success rate, like if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really know if there's a great team like that in the AFC. Like I don't know if there's a team that I'm really confident in the AFC that can just consistently force turnovers. I guess the team that has done that this year would be the Jaguars, but I also don't trust the Jaguars in their current state because they are kind of banged up. Like Tyson Campbell hasn't played a little bit. I don't really trust their pass rush at all outside of Josh Allen. But the Jags also have multiple outside receivers that I trust to win against the other corners for the Niners, not named Charvarius Ward. I trust Evan Engram to kind of, beat the Niners safeties without Hufanga as well. So honestly, it's going to sound like a weird answer, but I trust the Jaguars because I do think they can kind of match the Niners physicality. They also have a great coach who's, shown the ability to win in the playoffs, who's won a Super Bowl. And I think just because of their turnover forcing ability, their tendency to not give up explosive plays, I trust that team the most, even if I don't think they're the best team in the AFC.
I'm shocked because that was my answer, and I thought I was going to be alone in that one. No, I mean, like I think you can make a very compelling argument as to why their pass blocking to me is the biggest concern, especially now with Cam Robinson out. But if he gets back healthy and they just find a way to play better, again, we'll say this every week. If Press Taylor hands off play calling duties to Doug Peterson, that's probably the key there. But I'll pivot. I'll say Miami. I mean, an easy answer, but I do think that there's also the narrative here simply of just go up early, have a great script, score early, get a stop, go up 14-0, and then just kind of like use your speed to the edge and run at Chase Young. Or the Niners run defense isn't great. You mentioned the loss of Hufanga, so obviously throwing against these linebackers is tough. But the Dolphins don't have tight ends, so we know the Niners shut down tight ends, but Dolphins don't have any. Maybe Chase Claypool if he gets healthy. So I think it's it. You just get into a track meet and just build an early lead. And then just, rely on Jalen Ramsey and some of those guys making plays on Brock Purdy balls. Like, Purdy was pretty good today, but, I mean, Darius Slay was a half step from an interception. But there were a couple close calls. But no, the Purtmeister was good. We don't need to bash our guy.
Yeah, the Dolphins were my initial thought. And that obvious reason being that, it's just very, very hard to cover or defend all of those different weapons. And so you think about a team that can kind of score with the Niners and you go to the Dolphins. And so I think that's a valid answer. I actually look at this more from a team that I think schematically might be able to match up defensively or confuse Purdy in a way that really, kind of messes with his head. And so that's where I think the Dolphins are really interesting and what Mike Macdonald can do. Now, it worries me a bit offensively. I don't know that they have the horses to stay with him. But Lamar has shown, those kind of top tier games that he's capable of. And if he's able to have one of those, I do think they can get out ahead of him. So that was my initial thought. What would you make the spread right now? I guess Arjun, Niners, Jags.
On a neutral?
Yeah.
I'd probably go like Niners minus 4.5.
That's fair. Niners, Dolphins, Brad, what do you make that?
I was going to say the same thing. 4.5.
Yeah, I think that's about right. I don't think there's a team in the AFC. I mean, if it's Niners, Chiefs, and the Chiefs make it that far, you'd have to assume that they're playing well at that point. So maybe it's something more like 3. But yeah, I do think that's hard. See. Okay, let's get to the wild card. Let's start with the AFC. Teams that make the wild card in the AFC. Arjun, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, so AFC is interesting because there's a lot of backups. There's a lot of bad quarterbacks here. But for AFC, I'm assuming the leaders of the division are just going to win it. So I'm going with I think Houston's going to make it. I think the Browns are going to make it. And then this one might be a shocker, but I think the Colts are going to make it as well. So we're going with 3 AFC South teams in the playoffs. I did not think I'd be saying that before the season. But yeah, so Browns, Texans, Colts in whatever order.
Who's quarterbacking the Browns in the first week of the playoffs in the wild card round?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's going to be DTR, even though like I thought Flacco looked pretty like good today.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Flacco was fresh today.
Good. Okay. Pretty good might be, or pretty good relative to my expectations of him. The arm punt was terrible. Can't really do that, but like he was making throws. He had this one throw where he was like scrambling right and he threw it like kind of across his body to Njoku, who was also on the sideline, where I think he got called back because Njoku was out of bounds. But I'm like, damn, Flacco, like you got that juice to him. But yeah, I think the Browns defense has not been great recently, but they also haven't had Denzel Ward, so he should come back. And they have a pretty, I think, modest schedule going forward. So I think I trust that coaching staff to turn it around and make a push for the playoffs.
Yeah, no, Flacco was not flaccid today. He was slinging it. You meant the teams you mentioned. The remaining schedule is huge. Where Houston, per PFF Power Rankings, Houston is the 26th hardest. So I don't know, 7th easiest. Doing that reverse math on the fly. Like top 10 easiest schedule. The Colts have the 9th easiest schedule, and Cleveland has the 11th easiest schedule going forward. So I think those three are probably the easy choices there. I want to be different than you, but that was also going to be my selection there. That's my answer too. I just think Cleveland is going to find a way. It's a good Rams team. It's a Rams team that also should potentially be a wild card in the NFC. I think them in Green Bay will be interesting. And the Packers' remaining schedule is preposterously easy. What is that on here? It should be easy. Yeah, 3rd easiest. Anyway, yeah, same 3.
Yeah. So look, I think it's going to be very hard for Trubisky or DTR to make the playoffs. Now, a team that has a very hard remaining strength of schedule is one of the teams that I think is going to make it. So I also believe that the Houston Texans are going to get in there. I do think that the Colts will get in there as well. I am taking the AFC North teams out, though. I don't think the Steelers make it. I don't think the Browns make it. I think the Bills, I said this a couple weeks ago, the Bills have a hard remaining schedule. Okay, it's not quite. They do play Dallas. It's not quite as hard as Dallas. Dallas has the hardest remaining schedule. The Bills have the 5th hardest remaining schedule, but they also have, in my opinion, the 2nd best quarterback in the NFL, and a quarterback who I think is playing a lot better than people are giving him credit for. So I will ride with the Bills just to give you a sense. So here's what their remaining schedule looks like. They've got the Chiefs in Kansas City next week. They play at home against the Cowboys, and they finish with Chargers, Patriots, and then at Dolphins. So it is a very challenging schedule. However, I just talked about the Chiefs. I think they can beat the Chiefs in Kansas City. I certainly think they can beat the Cowboys at home. Obviously, the Chargers and the Patriots. And then the Dolphins, that could be a game in week 17. Who knows how, or week 18. Potentially the Dolphins have already clinched. Maybe they rest some guys. Who knows? But I just think talent wins out there. So I have the Bills making it in. All right, NFC. As of now, the NFC wild card, or the NFC division leaders, are the Eagles, Niners, Lions, and Falcons. So assuming those make it, and I guess I'm sure it's easy to assume that either Cowboys or Eagles will be a wild card. So who is your wild card in the NFC, Arjun?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna take whoever doesn't win the NFC East. So Dallas, Philly. I think at this point I like Dallas a little bit more, but I could still see Philly pulling away. So one of those two. Then I'm gonna just take the 2 best head coach quarterback combos, which are the Green Bay Packers and the LA Rams.
Yeah, I mentioned the Packers' remaining schedule. They are at the Giants and our guy Tommy D. They host the Buccaneers. They're at the Panthers. They're at the Josh Dobbs-led Minnesota Vikings, and they host the Chicago Bears. So, this should be, don't count your chickens, but this should be a double-digit win team. I'd be frankly shocked if they're not in the playoffs at this point. And then, the Rams, I think it's going to come down to the head-to-head with Seattle. I mean, Seattle losing both of those games, I guess week 1's fluky, but just might tank their entire season. And their schedule is pretty brutal the next couple of weeks, and it softens at the end there. But they'll be in the mix. But they have Niners, Eagles, but then Titans, Steelers, Cardinals. So they could sneak in there. But yeah, anyway, same as Arjun. Loser of the NFC East. And I'm gonna go Rams and then Packers.
Yeah. So obviously that that Cowboys. I think it'll be hard for the Cowboys, even if they do beat the Eagles next week, just because of how much harder their schedule is going forward and how easy the Eagles' schedule is. So I think it'll be Cowboys. By the way, right now, Cowboys Falcons. What are the Cowboys, like a 13-point favorite in Atlanta?
I think it's double digits for sure. No, like for sure.
For sure. I want the Vikings to make it because I think it'd be great to bet against Josh Dobbs in the playoffs. But I don't think they do. I think the Packers and what LaFleur's got over there, I think the Packers make it. And then, it's interesting. I would have said the Saints because they have the easiest schedule remaining in the NFL going forward. But with all of the kind of uncertainty at quarterback, I think that's going to be tough. And they just are not playing very well. So I'm gonna ride with the Seahawks here. I think that the Rams, while they did beat the Browns today, and they do win the tiebreak over Seattle. I just think Seattle's a better team, and so I'm going to be a little different there. But I think one of those teams, it's either Seattle or LA that gets it in. All right. Any other thoughts on this week before we move on to week 14?
Excited for a good slate. That's right.
It is a good slate. All right. Let me share my screen here. So as we do every single week, we are going to guess the lines, and we're going to place some early bets. Last week we atoned, or this week I should say, we atoned for some subpar play. So here we are. I think I can share my screen now. Here's where we were in week 13. I think Arjun, you had the best. Well, you both had the same percentage, and played very well. I went 5-2. Brad, you went 4-1, and Arjun 5-1. So
I got Jags left though. Jags teaser leg.
You got Jags left. That's right. That's right. I don't know if we have these updated for this year thus far, but Brad, did you update them by chance?
Mine's updated personally. I think Arjun did his.
Yeah, I updated mine.
Okay, so I have not. So I am now 41-30. All right. Not over yet. It ain't over yet.
No.
All right. We have an interesting slate here. We start with one of the worst games in the entire NFL schedule. New England and Pittsburgh. Is this going to be Trubisky?
This will be Trubisky. I think Pickett will be out for at least 2-3 weeks. Might even be a season at this point. Yes, we're getting Bailey Zappi at Mitchell Trubisky on a Thursday night. Take your wife out to dinner. Make her think that you're just a great guy that's skipping football, skipping a great game to take her out to a nice meal. I had the Steelers -5.5, which I thought was crazy. But I mean, the Patriots are the worst team in the NFL. Like, I watched Carolina. I watched a lot of that game today. The Panthers are better than the Patriots.
I went Patriots +5.5.
I had the Patriots. So I changed it a little bit. Now that Trubisky is in, I said 4.5. That's going to be short though.
So you had 3.5, and then you changed it to 4.5 once it was Trubisky instead of Pickett?
No, I had it. Yeah. See what you did there. I see what you did there. It is 6. It is 6. Look, Mitch Trubisky should not be a 6-point favorite against anybody. But I
The
can't.
total is 32, by the way. I was excited, which I think is the lowest opener of the year. I think we've had lower closing. I hope there's weather, and I want to get a total starts with a 2 in the NFL for this. What is this, like Rutgers versus Iowa, and Big Ten West matchup here. Anyway, I have no play on this game whatsoever. You're right; it's too big of a spread for Mitchell Trubisky, but
it is too big a spread. Is TJ Watt quarterback? TJ Watt was on the ground at one point today, writhing in pain. Is he all good?
Who's that? Sorry,
TJ Watt.
I haven't seen anything. That would be a massive loss. He's the most important player to the spread in this game by an order of magnitudes.
Yeah. 6 is too many points, guys.
Yeah, it is.
This I'm getting on the board early. This is the stinky. The stinky of the stinky. Stinkiest of the stinky. Oh my God. Mitchell Trubisky is 6-point favorite. I'm having flashbacks to when Bears fans were telling me he was the second coming.
George, the Patriots scored 0 points against Brandon Staley. 0.
I get that. I understand.
But I hear you.
Bailey Zappi, I thought, showed some spunk today. Anyone else?
No one wants you to win that bet more than me. I mean, the Patriots are going to get one of the quarterbacks. I wonder if Bill coaxes his way into that, keeping his job and being like, hey, let me train up, a Drake May, a Caleb Williams. Also, I guess the defense did play well, but like my Bill Belichick is not trying to win take. It didn't age terribly, I don't think.
No, it did not. The printing press, by the way, you can go guess the lines with us by joining our Discord. The link to join the Discord, it is on the screen. It is also in our bios. Tampa Bay and Atlanta, 2 powerhouses in the NFC South meet.
I had Atlanta minus 2.5. The NFC South spread every time.
I made it Falcons minus 3 just because of the Bucs injuries.
You're a Ritter truther. See,
the Bucs injuries are really bad. Like it's not good. So
yeah, I've been noticing that you're a Ritter truther. I went 2.5. And where is this freaking game? Here it is, 2.5. It is 2.5. Arjun, are you
the Bucs new injuries or just the ones they carried into this week?
The ones I carried, like Levante, Devin White, Jamel, like those are 3, I would say, pretty big ones in my opinion.
No, for sure. I just wasn't sure if they had more injuries on top of those. Mike Evans did look. I mean, that's just him every game. He's like limping around and then goes for 100. But he did limp around a bunch in this game.
Yeah.
By the way, can we just talk about? I don't normally pat myself on the back, but Mike Evans, one of our locks of the week this past week, and it was a sensation. So hopefully you guys got on board with that.
Cash in the first quarter. Good. That was a good call.
Yeah. Dante Jackson is 5'6". It is funny about Mike Evans though, how like every single game without fail, he gets banged up. Like there's just he's so big. Like every time he gets hit, they have to like launch their entire body out and try and get him down.
There was a contested catch where the guy just dove at his rib cage. Like it was all he could do. I guess that's what happens every week. Yeah.
It's insane. Yeah. I'm not betting this game. Are you betting it, Arjun? You taking Ritter?
Look, okay. The Bucs, I will say this. The Bucs defensive injuries did matter today. Like I know we say like linebackers aren't a premium position. Like Levante David and Devin White being out are huge. The Panthers averaged a 57% rushing success rate today. On early downs, they averaged a 61% rushing success rate. And the Falcons, I think, if White and David are out, are going to be able to run the ball at will, which means I think they will be able to put up points. And then, no Jamel Dean. I think, Drake London could have a big game. I just can't bet on Desmond Ritter, man. There'll be other bets I'm just going to lay off, but I will say I have a very strong lean on the Falcons.
So real quick, they did have 2 more linebackers get hurt in the game. They had Ryan Neal, who's like an undersized safety from the Seahawks, playing linebacker for like the second half of this game. So, yeah. I was going to tease the Bucs, but I'll stay away.
The Los Angeles Rams play the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. Brad?
I had the Ravens land a full tutty.
Same, exact same.
I had them at 7 as well. It is 7 on the nose. Actually, you can get. Actually, I think it's 7.5 now, juiced a little bit. DraftKings and FanDuel both have it at 7.5. So for the
shaded towards Rams, but only minus 115. So
we'll call it 7.5. Circa has it at 7. But you can get 7.5. Anyone betting this?
I think I would have taken the Ravens at 7, but over the number, I'll probably stay away.
I'll just tease them at home.
Yeah, you're right. That's a teaser.
Yeah, I do think this is a good teaser, although we talk about this a lot with the Rams, right? Like, is there that big of a trench mismatch in this game?
Definitely. in my opinion, at least. Because I also like the interior for the Ravens a ton. So, no one stops Aaron Donald, but they'll do a better job against Aaron Donald than most. And then on the flip side, like it's more Mike McDonald than like there being studs on the Ravens defensive line. But I mean, their guys have been a problem. Justin Madubuike has been a problem. Clowney's having a career year for some reason.
True.
I also going back. So Puka Nacua did return, but he got banged up. Cooper Kupp is not Cooper Kupp right now, like at all. So yeah, Ronnie Stanley has been scary, but Michael Hoyt's going to beat him around the edge. Like,
yeah, you know it. I'll jump in on this teaser leg. I like this teaser leg. Detroit and Chicago in Chi-Town, Brad.
I think I'm being nice to the Bears for a change. I had the Bears plus 4.5.
I went Bears +4.
Where am I here? Wow. I guess I hate the Bears. I had them getting 6.5 in this game. It is 4.
Wow. All right, okay. I thought I was being nice. I was still.
It is 4. Look, were the Detroit Lions particularly impressive today? Well, they certainly were to start the game. And they gave it up a little bit at the end. I guess I think this is a spot where I know that the Bears O-line has played a little bit better. But I don't know that there's something about the Lions against the Bears, and it worries me a little bit because this feels like a team that the Lions can go out and beat handily. And it feels like the Lions feel a little bit like they're trying to make the college football playoff, and they gotta put up some good performances when they can to get the attention of the committee. And so if they have an opportunity to blow someone out, they might try. But I'm going to lay off this one for now.
There's definitely outcomes where that is 100% true. I just think outside in Chicago with Jared Goff, like we know him in December in cold weather is the worst possible scenario, but also the matchup itself beyond that. Like the Bears run defense, I don't think it's a fluke at this point, including their game against Detroit. For the most part, again, the end of the game was obviously not great, but like I think they're going to put Jared Goff in a lot of second and third and longs. And yeah, he's not good in these conditions. I don't know. I just don't love the matchup too, because the Bears offensive line has played much better. I think Darnell Wright is a pretty solid. He shut down Aiden Hutchinson until the safety play. He pretty much did nothing that entire game. So I just don't like the matchup for Detroit. So I'm trying to talk myself into Bears, but I guess I won't because I said 4.5 thinking I was being nice, and it's not even 4.5.
Yeah, like I think I get worried because the Bears run defense is like actually good, and Ben Johnson I think runs too much for my own liking. And then also like I think the Bears coverage unit has been, somewhat impressive the past couple of weeks. And then the Detroit Lions coverage unit on the other hand has been an atrocity the past couple of weeks. I know they won, but Saints still put up 28 points. Like they still had a 0.85 EPA per play on late downs. Like the Detroit coverage unit is not good. So yeah, I think I felt like I was going to be short on the line, but nailing it, yeah, I'm just not going to bet. But I think these are teams kind of going in opposite directions defensively, at least.
Agreed. Yeah.
Look
at us hyping up the Bears. Sorry,
that won't end poorly at all. We are on to Cincinnati, Indy, and Cincy.
I had the Bengals getting a full field goal.
Same.
I did not go that far. I went 2.5. And I felt kind of dirty about it, to be honest. Gardner Minshew is such a privilege to watch. It's really amazing. Did you see the video of him after the game dancing?
Going nuts in the locker room. Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. Colts are 2.5, it looks like. Yeah. 2.5. This is interesting because, I don't know. I do think I'm interested to see Jake Browning play tomorrow. I think there's a path. There's a universe where the Bengals are not a complete dumpster fire. And now their defense has been, especially against tight ends. That's why we have our guy Evan Ingram going to tomorrow night. You guys betting this one?
Arjun, you did it last week. Are you taking them? Because if you are, then I am.
Yes. I texted this to Judah because we were both on the same page over the summer. Colts under 6.5 at like plus money, I thought was like it was my favorite position of the entire, like when I was betting them back in like March and April. And I've proceeded to bet on the Colts for like the past like 4 or 5 weeks. And I think I've made all the money back that I've lost and some. And I think Zach Taylor's okay, but I think Shane Steichen is amazing. And like I don't think we have time for a discussion topic, but like I would genuinely be curious where Shane Steichen would rank in people's head coaching rankings at this point, because he's done a tremendous job with that roster.
I've learned to wait a couple years, or just 2 really, because of like the Brian Dables of the world. But like what he's done this year,
Brandon Staley.
yeah. So I've learned to like let things play out. But I do feel like, I mean, this year he's, for me, like coach of the year. It's like, yeah, you're gonna have your McDaniels, whatever, ahead of him, but he's clear cut top 5. Also, a great subplot here is this is actually a rematch of 2018 Washington versus Washington State. Jake Brown and Gardner Minshew. So anyway, just had to throw that in there. I'm riding with you, Arjun. Also, you put a W instead of a yes again, but that's a good
again. That means it's again. I'm gonna have to get on board with that now that I know it's a W.
Yeah.
I would Steichen is high on my list, very high on my list. I think David Tepper is going to try and trade for him. By the way, the shots of David Tepper today in the box.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking.
Electric.
The end of the game.
Absolutely electric. I didn't want to watch any of that game. I happened to have it on Red Zone, and I see them cut to Tepper, and like looks like he looks like he's being like tortured in medieval times. And I'm like, oh, now I have to watch this game. And they cut back to him on like every single Panthers possession. It was incredible. He's gonna.
It really was cinema. The 4th down interception to end it, and he just stands up like before the ball is even caught. He's already out of his seat. Also, wait, real quick. So the 3 teams in the same division hired Shane Steichen. One hired D'Amico Ryans, probably the 2 best hirings of the last like 5 years. And then he hired Frank Reich, who he fired in 11 games.
Yeah, amazing. Not quite same division, but yeah.
Oh yeah, NFC South, AFC South, whatever.
It's all South.
Honestly, all the South should just be one division.
They really should. Like we're poking fun at the college football playoff. Like contraction, we should have the Southern NFL Conference, and that should just be all the South teams.
They get one playoff team.
They get one playoff team.
Yeah.
Anyways, Jacksonville and Cleveland.
Cleveland plus 3.5.
Me and Brad are like in sync right now because I have the exact same thing.
Yeah, you guys are driving here. You looked at each other's notes before the test. I have them getting 3 at home. I believe that is there a chance that Denzel Ward comes back? There's got to be a chance. He's got.
I believe so. Yeah, which will be big.
I thought Flacco looked decent today, and in Cleveland, the Jacksonville Jaguars again. They do less with more than any other team. It's absolutely incredible. This just has the feeling of one of those Jacksonville games. Trevor Lawrence throws like 9 touchdowns in this game, but only 1 count because his receivers are out of bounds on the back end line on all of their 8. That's what this game feels like to me. Anyways,
it does have that vibe.
The spread is 3. So you guys are in sync, but you guys are also wrong. Do you want to bet?
I don't like it. I think it's gonna be one of those kind of games. I mean, like I think Jacksonville's defense will do fine because they're a good run defense, but obviously you mentioned the Jaguars doing less with more. They also just still spam early down runs, even though I think they're 31st in EPA per rush, and they still
our guy Press.
Our guy Press, who's just always pressed, and ETN's not healthy, and they're still gonna run 25 times tomorrow night on 1st and 2nd and 10. So I agree, George. I think it's gonna be one of those like sneaky games where we look back and we're like, oh, the Browns won like 19-14, even though Trevor Lawrence had like an 89 PFF passing grade.
Yeah, 1,000%. Arjun, you betting this?
I'm not. One thing I did want to mention though, that I think is noteworthy. Myles Garrett only had 2 pressures on like 31 pass rush attempts against a pretty weak, tackle duo for the Rams. Like Alaric Jackson is like probably a replacement level tackle, like no offense to him. And then Rob Havenstein at this point is probably like average at best. Still only 2 pressures. So, we know he injured his shoulder, I want to say last week. Could be playing hurt, Anton Harrison for the Jags has been amazing. He shut down, I think it was
Yeah.
Will Anderson last week. And yeah, so like the Browns pass rush could be neutralized a little bit in this game, especially if Garrett is playing hurt. But yeah, I don't feel comfortable as a road fave here.
That is a good point. I didn't think he was going to play today. Carolina, New Orleans. Oh my God. Spare us, Lord.
Should
60
be
second
Bryce
timer
Young.
starts now.
Okay. Wait, sorry, what'd you say?
I was going to say 60-second timer to talk about this game starts now. Yeah.
Yeah. This will be Jameis. Carr, I definitely don't think Carr is going to play. I went -4.5. Saints -4.5.
I went -5.5.
Yeah, I did 5.5 as well. And it is 5.5. Oh my God. Any thoughts here, fellas?
I really want to pull the trigger. I really do. I think the
Ooh,
Panthers
you
and
do.
David, the fighting Teppers are just like chomping at the bit. Bryce Young's probably played in the dome plenty of times. I can't do it. I want to though. The Saints are bad.
We do not bet on Bryce Young in this house.
Yeah, no, we don't. Also, like Jameis, we have fun with Jameis, but like if he could throw a decent back shoulder to Chris Olave late in the game, you probably know what I'm talking about. It was a horrific, truly horrific pass. And like we make fun of Derek Carr too, but like he hits that 99 of 100 times. So anyway, yeah, I want to bet the Panthers, but I'm a coward.
Yeah, I mean, they were actually a very popular bet. What was I going to say?
This week?
Yeah, this week.
They covered, right?
Yeah.
So
there you go. 1-0 ATS in the last one.
All right. Before we move forward, let's pay a few bills here. It is a wonderful podcast that is brought to you by Prize Picks. I played some Prize Picks today. I told the fans that I would, and I have been. I did well. Prize Picks is great. It's super easy to play. It's daily fantasy, made simple. Go download the app or go to prizepicks.com. Either way, super easy. We got some players that we like tomorrow. We talked about Evan Ingram. But essentially, if you are new to Prize Picks, it works by selecting 2 or more players and then choosing more or less on a particular stat or number of fantasy points. And you can cross across different sports as well. So you can do basketball and football. It is super easy. They tell you exactly what you can win. And there are flex plays where you can win for, if you go 5 out of 6, for example, you can still win. And you can kind of pick your own poison. So it is great, especially if you're in a place where legalized or gambling is not yet legalized. This is not gambling. This is daily fantasy sports. So go to prizepicks.com/forecast. Use code forecast for a first deposit match of up to $100. Again, that's prizepicks.com/forecast to get a first deposit match of up to $100. Also, our friends at Gerber Life have created the easy to use, no hassle, 10 minutes or less term life insurance policy. It's very easy. You have a young family or you're potentially thinking of starting one. You probably want to make sure that you got your ducks all in a row as opposed to squirrels all at a rave. If anyone saw a PFD commenter's tweet, you know what I'm talking about. And this is a good way to make that happen. High quality term life insurance policies can really help you out if something happens, for example. And there are other probably financial needs that you will have if you are starting a family. So Gerber Life made this super easy with Fabric. Go to meetfabric.com/PFF to get started today. It takes you 10 minutes and you'll be ready to rock. All right. We are on to Houston and the Jets.
I went Jets +6.5.
I went Jets +6.
I took the Jets by 5 or getting 5. And it is, where is this game? It is 6.
Argent's en fuego.
Yeah. Cannot take the Jets. Texans a little banged up. No Tank Dell. Which, can I just say, I love D'Amico Ryans. I love Bobby Slowick. I may never forgive them for making Tank Dell walk in the middle of a power goal line play. Like, what the hell is going on? Broke his fibula. Absolutely disgusting. I will say this. The Texans were able to throw the ball to Nico Collins wide open on every single play today. Like, there was just no one within 10 yards of him on any play. That won't happen against the Jets. I do think this game can be close. Now, whether the Jets can field an offense, like, it's amazing. If the Jets just had Joe Flacco, like, I think they covered this number. They refused to even bring Joe Flacco in. It's insane. Anyways,
Trevor Siemian should get the start, we assume. Play some good ball to close this one out. Yeah, I agree, George. I think it's gonna be pretty close. It's easy to get to ride high on the Texans week to week, but they do have still some fundamental issues. I do love PFF Bobby, and I get you're protecting Stroud and all that, but they still do run the ball way too much on early downs. Random, not associated with the bet. I'll be quick. The Texans are going to take a running back way too early in the draft. Book it now. Dameon Pierce is not a fit in their running scheme. Devin Singletary's Devin Singletary. They're going to take a guy like the third round maybe and take that guy in Dynasty, take him in fantasy. He's going to have 25 carries a game.
No. Hold on. Let me give you the answer. They're going to take a guy in the second round, first or second round, Brad. Okay. They don't have a first round pick. They take a guy in the second round, but they're also going to take a guy in the sixth round. Don't draft the guy they take in the second round. Draft the guy they take in the sixth round. Okay. What have we learned from the Shanahan?
The Elijah Mitchell principle. Yes. Don't take the Tyrion Davis Price or Trey Sermon. Take the Elijah Mitchell, Jordan Mason. You're right.
Exactly. And then they'll go trade for Jonathan Taylor. So Minnesota and Vegas.
Whoa, George, you didn't even ask me what I was doing with this game.
Oh, sorry. You guessed the line. So I didn't even.
But there is a total. And I do love the under here. 36.5. It's pretty low already, but I will say this. The Texans offense for a majority of the season has been built. They've built their plane out of explosive plays. That's all they do. Today they had a 39. They had a 34% success rate, and they still put up 22 points because Nico Collins had like 3 catches of 35 plus yards. This is a team that lives off explosive plays because of how fast and quick their receivers are. Now you throw Tank Dell out of the equation, right? The Jets are also one of the best teams at not allowing explosive plays. Drake London had 1 catch for 8 yards today. Now I don't think the conditions in MetLife are great. I think it was a little bit rainy. But the Jets, we know the Jets defense is legit. We know the Jets offense isn't legit. So I think in this case, the Jets defense will kind of slow down Houston enough to where they'll put up maybe like 14 to 17 points. And we know the Jets aren't really going to put up much more after that. So I really like the under 36.5. I feel like I don't really think it's going to move against us. It has no reason to move against us. So I think at the minimum, we'll get closing line value. And I still think because of how reliant Houston is on explosive plays and how the Jets limit explosive plays well, I think that should play into our favor.
Dig it.
I like it.
All right, now we can move on. Game everyone's been waiting for. Minnesota, Vegas.
Vegas plus 2.5.
I went Vegas plus 3.
I went Vegas by getting 1.5. Josh, you guys watch Josh Dobbs?
It might be Jaron Hall.
Josh.
Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins, don't sleep on him.
FanDuel has it at 1.5. DraftKings has it at 2.5. Circa has it 2.5. We'll call it 2.5.
Yeah, Dobbs came back down to earth. Our guy, fun story, but the high variance play swung in the negative direction.
Is Crosby going to play?
That's a good question. I mean, I would think so. I don't think his injury was described as long-term, but we also are getting Justin Jefferson back in this game. I'm not sure who is going to be covering him for the Raiders. I don't mean who his matchup's going to be. I mean, I don't know who's going to cover him at any point throughout the game.
I need one of you guys to name one Raiders cornerback to me right now.
You got Jacorian Bennett. You got you got a bunch. Nate Hobbs.
Okay.
Marcus Peters is hurt.
Yeah, no, you got released.
Don't roster shame me. I'm
no,
live on air.
No, Marcus Peters got released.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and you're talking not
also, though. I said he was hurt. I didn't say he was on the
team. Yeah, it's not pretty. Point. It's not pretty. I am. The fact of the matter remains that yes, Justin Jefferson is back, but his quarterback is either going to be Josh Dobbs, Nick Mullins, or Jaron Hall.
True.
I am going to tease the Las Vegas Raiders with the Baltimore Ravens out to 8.5.
The total here of 40.5. I guess it's in a dome. Both teams coming off a bye, but like, do we think Aiden O'Connell's going to score against the blitz? Do we think the Vikings are going to score with the quarterbacks you just mentioned? I don't know. I don't have the teaser at all. I think especially with me thinking that 40.5 is too high. I'll lay off, but it's a good teaser leg.
I'll take the Vikes. I'll take our Vike. Oh,
there you go.
Again. I mean, first of all, I think Brian Flores is going to have Aiden O'Connell in hell in this game. And yeah, I think with Jefferson back, that should make things a lot easier for the quarterbacks. So I like it.
No faith in AOC. No faith. Who's covering Devontae Adams?
Yeah, Caleb Evans or Mekhi Blackman, or I'm just rattling off, what's his name? No, what's his name? The guy they signed in free agency.
Byron Murphy.
Yeah, Byron Murphy.
Okay. There you go. All right. We finally made it. We have some good games this week. I knew they were here. They were coming. Seattle in San Francisco. I don't know if this is a good game or not, but at least it's somewhat compelling.
I was going to say, it's a good game. I also have the Niners laying 13 points in this game.
13. I went Seahawks plus 11.
Yeah, I have the Niners by 12.5 in this game. And it's 11.5 at DraftKings, 12.5 everywhere else. Yeah. I don't really know what to say here. Anyone taking the Seahawks? It's interesting because they played the Seahawks with Geno on short rest after getting his elbow basically torn apart, right? And then they play in Dallas, and they certainly looked a lot better in Dallas, right? Not an easy place to play. So, I mean, they were embarrassed on Thanksgiving night. I am staying away from this one. I think this is a kitchen sink game for Seattle, whatever the hell that means. And traditionally, at least, they have really come to play in this game. I don't know. Big coming off of a huge win for the Niners. I will probably try and convince myself to take the Seahawks at some point this week. It won't be right now.
Yeah, their defense is just not going to stop. Like the Niners went scoring every drive. Like that's my issue. I have zero faith in and I got some players in the unit. It's just not a good unit. The total of 46 on that note is intriguing to me because I think Seattle also their offense looked very good against Dallas. In a sustainable way. I guess you had some DK just ripping off yards after the catch, but Geno was awesome. Should have had a touchdown to Jackson Smith and Jigba. That was kind of a drop in the left corner of the end zone. Like they looked very, very good. I don't know if you'll get Kenneth Walker back for Zach Charbonnet, who just remarkably unexplosive in that game. He got hurt too.
Yeah.
I guess we'll save it. The total of 46. The over is. I guess it's a late divisional game now, so whatever.
Arjun, I will let you convince me to take the Seahawks. You have this at 11. Are you taking the Seahawks? If you can really come with it, I might be compelled.
I cannot fade the juggernaut that is the 49ers offense. I just can't. So I'm not even gonna tempt fate and do it.
Okay. All right. By the way, there are some people on Twitter that did not realize that my teaser about the 49ers being the favorite to win the CFP playoffs is in fact a joke. Even though there's a Harbaugh connection there, I don't quite think they've proven enough to make it in. I mean, they have 3 losses. Let's be real here. Okay. We're on to Kansas City, Buffalo, and KC.
Chiefs minus 2.5.
Yep, I had this exact same as Brad.
I cannot believe this is not. I don't know yet, but I can't believe I didn't make this 3. I couldn't make it 3. How can you make it 3? There's just no way that you can make it 3. I had a 2.5. Has to be 2.5, right? It's 3. Yeah, FanDuel and DraftKings have it at 3.
You're taking the Bills, George. I'll let you go first with your Bills bet.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bills. Of course I'm taking the Bills.
I kind of want to take the over 48 here. I know it's a high total, but the Bills defense is just horrific. Like maybe worse than the NFL the last 6 weeks. I know they're coming off a bye, but I don't really care. And then the Chiefs defense tonight was playing their 4th inside linebacker. I want to find out if Nick Bolton's back. I think it matters to a degree just because they're so far down the depth chart now, even though the Cochran guy played pretty well, I thought. But you also lose Brian Cook, definitely not playing in this game. That injury was pretty ugly. So like over the middle and deep, you lose your free safety.
Yeah.
Like I think this is going to be an absolute shootout. Like I know the Chiefs offense is still scaring us, but I just have no fear of the Bills defense whatsoever. I'll go with you in the Bills. I'm riding the Bills to +3, but the over 48 is very intriguing to me.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. I feel like this is a counterintuitive spot. Everyone and their mother is going to go to bet the Kansas City Chiefs because they're, coming off a loss, and I'm sure there are all these incredible trends about the Chiefs in December coming off of a loss, ATS at home, some baloney like that. And I'm sure that Andy Reid's going to cook up some really cool plays while filming a commercial about chicken nuggets with the State Farm guy. So
the Ring Around the Rose is going to be cooking in Arrowhead on Sunday.
God. At least they drew up a good MVS PI play. Maybe they could have done that against the Eagles. It would have been better.
This also sounds dumb, but I just feel like the Chiefs also they're pissed off they lost, but like the division is still comfortably in hand. The Bills are so much more desperate in this game. Like by an order of magnitudes, they're so much more desperate for this game.
Yes, by a pretty large margin. Arjun, you betting this?
Yeah, let's do a little squad ride on Buffalo. Should go well, but
That'll go well.
Taking
All right,
Buffalo taking Buffalo in Kansas City. I mean,
what could go wrong?
Yeah,
absolutely nothing can go wrong here. Does Taylor Swift show up to this game?
She's probably gonna fire off some tweets about the refs or something. She's got to get more active.
They're coming. She's hanging out with Brittany Mahomes. Like they're coming. Would the NFL would lose its mind? There would be
if she calls out the officiating. Do you think they change it, right? Like, do you think they actually look into it? Yeah,
I think if she were to comment on the officials, that officiating crew would be fired immediately. They might be executed.
We need to get her to tweet that the NFL needs to have an office in New York and have have a camera and just go to a booth. Like if she tweets that, we might get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll mobilize on that one. All right, I'm adding the over too. So because we're already on the same bet, over 48 as well. Double bet.
I love it.
All
right, Denver and the Chargers.
I had the Chargers by 2.5.
I had the Chargers by 1.5.
I had them by 2.5. In a shocking turn of events, Arjun the least bullish on the Chargers.
Shocker.
It is 3, but it's basically 2.5. It's like,
minus 120 for +3 at DraftKings. I still can't believe that though, frankly. And we all faded the Browns. We all social took the Texans, and I still can't believe that.
Yeah.
Arjun?
Yeah, I'll take the Broncos here. The Broncos are probably frauds, but Chargers have not done anything offensively in weeks. So
they covered. Didn't they cover today?
Yeah, bro. But that was against Bailey Zappi.
That was a joke.
Surtain should be back for this game, right?
That is a big question. I think so. It didn't look that bad. So yeah, and then I mean the offense is literally just Keenan Allen and then just prayers to NPCs. It's hard to watch. Eckler, you had the full cycle, Arjun, of you called Eckler cooked, then he was good for a month, and you're like, I'm so sorry, Eckler's not cooked, and now he's deep fried cooked. So never doubt yourself. You had it right the first time.
If Austin Eckler, Travis Kelce, and a dead man got in a race, how long does it take the dead man to win?
Oh my God.
All right. Philly and Dallas, Sunday Night Football, a great game. There are 2 on the schedule.
Might be an overreaction, but I don't think it is. I went full field goal here. I think Dallas is a better football team.
I hope it's a full field goal.
Yeah, I want a full field goal as well.
Attaboy.
Oh my goodness. I could not bring myself to do that. I went -1.5, actually. Now, granted, I did this before I watched the game tonight. So maybe I would change that a little bit. This is stunning to me. I'm seeing 3.5s out there. That is incredible. -3.5. Man, I want to hear what you guys are going to do first.
The biggest thing for me is so there were reports that Dallas Goedert pushed very, very hard to play in this Niners game. Obviously didn't, but I imagine that means he'll be good to go for this game, which I think is massive because we talked about how the Eagles have bad linebackers that struggle to cover. Pretty much the same thing for Dallas. They've gotten some cool play from Marquise Bell and done different things there, but it's also an issue for them. And so I think Goddard playing is pretty huge. 3.5. Wow. Yeah, and I was the bozo that took the Eagles in a teaser last week. I just think Dallas is fundamentally a better football team right now. The Eagles are not going to be able to cover CeeDee Lamb at all. Brandon Cooks looking like Brandon Cooks. I'm not going to take 3.5. If it was 3, I would have done it, but I'm not going to take Dallas -3.5.
Yeah, I'm not either.
It's time to get up. I'm Mike Greenberg, and we have so much to get to today, and only 3 hours to do it. But first, Brocky Balboa, he took over Philly, and I'll tell you why the biggest winner wasn't the 49ers. Hint, his name starts with a D and ends with a K. Plus, Travis Kelce, did he get long COVID from doing too many Pfizer commercials? Aaron, I love you so, you sweet, sweet hunk of ayahuasca manliness. We will do our 3rd hour on Aaron Rodgers, I promise you. Get Up is next. That is Get Up tomorrow morning. After this game, I have no idea what it's going to be, but it is going to be absolutely electric. The entire show is going to be on this game. I cannot wait. They're going to talk about this game Tuesday through Friday this week. It's going to be electric. Stay tuned for our show on Wednesday when I do a full recap. I'm taking the Eagles. Here's the thing about this. The Cowboys, every single year, the Cowboys are in the same spot where you get to one of these big games and it's like the Super Bowl. Because if they lose this game, Jerry Jones it's going to be insufferable, right? He's going to walk around. He's going to be scowling. It's going to be brutal. And these players are going to play a little tighter than they normally do. I just have more confidence in Jalen Hurts in these situations, even though I think Dak is playing significantly better than him this year. 3.5 is too many points. Lane Johnson looked great. I was definitely concerned about him. I just don't think that the Cowboys are going to have the consistency that the Niners offense did last week. So yeah, I'm taking the Eagles. Now, this game, if the Cowboys win, they have a chance to win the division, a chance to win the 1 seed. But for the Eagles, if they lose this game, then the Niners go to the 1 seed. So huge, huge game for the Eagles. I'm riding with Philly.
I'm excited for Colin Cowherd if the Eagles win. Talk about how Alshon Jeffrey had a huge game catching balls from Jalen Hurts. That Alshon Jeffrey, let me tell you, that Alshon Jeffrey, that guy is a beast. That's not what Colin Cowherd sounds like at all. But
Cowherd is incredible as well. Welcome to Get Up. Is Dak Prescott and this Cowboys team the greatest Cowboys team that Jerry has ever had in Dallas? We bring in Troy Aikman to discuss. And by Troy Aikman, I mean Bart Scott. Mike T, what do you think? Tennessee and Miami. This is the first of a Monday night double dip.
Yeah. Is that the rest of the way, by the way? I was going to ask that.
I don't know. The schedule just is crazy from here on out.
Yeah, love it. I went Miami -14.
I went Miami -13.
I split you guys and went 13.5. Let's see. Where is this game? There it is. It is 13 on the money. Brad, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little tempted. Tennessee stinks.
And they really do. And I hate this matchup too, because Will Levis now basically just tries to hit a 50-yard bomb on every drop back. And I feel like it's a terrible, like Javon Holland might have 4 picks in this game. And then if not, the defensive line's gonna get home. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. This is a terrible matchup for my Tennessee.
I feel like in these, like, I don't remember the last time. I think there's only one game that the Dolphins had like above a touchdown spread and they didn't cover, and it was it was the Raiders, I think. Remember? But that game they also had like 3 or 4 turnovers or something. Like the Dolphins just, like, even more than or at the same level as the Cowboys, they just like dump on bad teams. And yeah, them being at home, like, I think the one thing that worries me is, like, I think the Dolphins in the past have gotten in a little bit of trouble with physical teams, and the Titans under Vrabel are a very physical team. But also, like, I think Jeffrey Simmons got hurt at some point in this game, and I don't know what the situation is there. Right?
Yeah. So, I don't think he's going to play. Yeah. They talked about like being happy they avoided like a long-term injury. So I think I should have mentioned that beyond just like he might be out. I think Derrick Henry, could he come back from a concussion? Maybe. Is Derrick Henry going into free agency for a 4-8 team going to like play a short week off a concussion? Probably not. I think both those guys do not play in this game. So.
Man, I think I'm doing it.
Yeah, you got to rip it.
Titans stink.
What about a first? Arjun, are the Dolphins? Yeah, they're good in the first half, right? They build up these early leads for the most part.
Kinda.
I guess it depends. Also, can we talk real quick? I guess he could be sticking it to his former employer, but Mike McDaniel running the ball on 4th and goal up 38-15, like that was. I mean, I loved it. It was Devon Achane. It was good for the boys.
Devon Achane on the fantasy team.
He must, because it was like it was like minute 50, 4th and goal from the 2, up 23 points, and he hammered. It was awesome. Anyway, go Devon.
I wonder if that was a little sticking to the former employer.
What other reason would there be? Was he going for the CFP committee? Was he trying to get an automatic bid?
He was. I think it's one of those things actually where it's like, you go for it on 4th down because it gives the team a chance, like the other team, a chance to stop you. So like in this weird way, it's like, I'm actually not running up the score. I'm giving you a chance to not get scored on. Whereas if I kick a field goal, I'm definitely scoring more points. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. That's nice.
I was nice supportive of it. Green Bay and the Giants.
This is before the game, I guess, so maybe I should have changed it. I went Giants plus 5.5. It's probably way too short.
Yeah, I went Giants plus 6.5.
Yeah, I have the Giants by getting 6.5 as well. I wanted to make it 7, but I couldn't because Tommy DeVito.
Yeah.
I'm seeing 6.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm seeing a 5.5, 6. We'll call it 6. I don't know. I mean, Green Bay has looked really good. Are they a team that's ready to cover spreads on the road? My personal take is I'm not sure yet. So, yeah, I'm laying off this one.
Arjun, I'm looking up Jordan Love versus the Blitz if you want to jump in here.
Okay. I want to take this, but also like Christian Watson got hurt in this game, and like, I don't necessarily know if he's, what his situation is against man coverage. This is great podcasting right here. Let me just double check like what the Packers stuff, like what the Packers like numbers look like against man coverage, just because
you look that one up. I'll look. So Jordan Love has a 77 passing grade against the Blitz, 7th this season.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
So yeah,
6
okay.
No picks.
Against the Blitz, Jaden Reed has the most. He has 21 targets this year. Watson is second with 12, and then it's Dubs and Wicks. Yeah, I mean, I think Dontavian Wicks is like legitimately like a solid receiver. Like like his numbers in like our all coverage data and like the separation stuff that Judah posts and like my single coverage openness percentage, like he shows up really well. So he's going to see a lot of single coverage. I think he's going to be open. So even if Watson's out, I still think Wicks could be there. Yeah, I'm gonna take it. Who would have thought Arjun Menon would have been laying 6.5 with Jordan Love on the road in December? Not me.
We did not.
But
I hope we're not. I know, right? I hope we're not. This isn't wrong here, but on the Christian Watson thing, so he was listed as questionable, and I feel like if he tweaked a hamstring, they would have just said out or doubtful, especially him. And then, like, he was standing on the sideline, he was chatting, he was pretty good spirits. You know, maybe he plays in this game. I don't know. I'm scrolling through Twitter. I can't talk right now. I'm so excited. Good vibes in the locker room. Packers, Christian Watson. I mean, all right, I'm taking him too. Go Pack, go.
How much faith this is showing in Jordan Love is really tremendous. Now, I think he's played well. I think what Matt LaFleur is doing is super impressive as well. But I mean, come on, guys. You think that this young Packers team has what it takes to sustain discipline after beating the defending champs at home?
It's a very fair point. Yeah, but like, what are they gonna? They're gonna go to the one bar in Green Bay that's open until 11 p.m. Like, what are they gonna do, George? Are they gonna cut up and have a couple of Michelob's in a bar? Like, come on.
Yeah, they're gonna have some stout. Okay, they're gonna down
drink
a
some
couple
mead.
of yeah, some cheese curds. They're gonna OD on cheese curds. All right, I think that's it. That's our show. We'll be back on Wednesday evening for another episode of Get Up. Tune in tomorrow, ESPN at 9 a.m. Eastern time. I will see you there. Love you all. Peace.